So at this time, I'd like for all of us to welcome William Hall Sr., who's a financial services professional from New York Life, and he's talking to us about freedom through finance.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'll be brief tonight. So, the main reason I'm here is to really talk about a movement that I'm trying to head in Rochester. So, I work for New York Life, as Irving said. New York Life hired the first African-American agent 54 years ago. We're very proud of that. New York Life has a very strong African-American market unit. We're very proud of that as well. One of the big initiatives that we have is a $50 billion initiative. We're trying to put $50 billion of life insurance in urban communities. Why is that important? What we feel is that the more people are educated and the more insurance they have, the less families get broken up, the less people go into poverty, the less likely they are to need any type of social services. We really see life insurance as a legacy gift, as a gift of love that can be passed on to where we can really help people move out of poverty. So part of the reason that Lynette had to come today, I want everyone to kind of keep June 11th open. I, along with some other partners, we are putting together a Closing the Wealth Gap Symposium. The intention is to help people maintain and create intergenerational wealth. So here's what the topics are going to be. June 11th at the REOC. So our keynote speaker is going to talk about urban finance and really talk about some of the things that we need to do from a historical perspective to get out of the doldrums in urban communities. A lot of it is knowledge-based, right? The more knowledge we have, the more we're able to do some things. I find that most people that I work with, a lot of the issues they have is not for lack of want or desire, but lack of knowledge, right? And I think that's the reason a lot of us are in this room, and a lot of us do the things that we do is to educate people. It's through education that the shackles are broken, the bondage is gone, and people can do the things that they need to do in life. So that's our keynote speaker. And then we're going to have 2 breakout sessions. The first breakout session is going to be on small business. So here's what I find. A lot of small business owners that I speak to, for lack of a better word, are hustling rather than engaging in business. Now, what do I mean by that? They're not necessarily set up properly from a tax standpoint. They're not always set up properly from a legal standpoint. They don't have the end in mind, meaning what's your exit strategy, right? A lot of times, part of the thought is, well, I'm going to give this business to my child, which you can do. But above cost basis is a taxable event, right? So 67% of businesses don't make it past 1 generation. Now, why is that? It's not because the business wasn't viable, not that it wasn't successful. A lot of times there was no succession plan. Here's another for instance. Let's say you and I are in business together, right? And something happens to me. My spouse gets my shares of this business and all that comes with that, voting rights, desire, all the things that come with that, she gets. She may not want this business, she may not know anything about this business. We need to set up a plan to buy her out. We can do that with life insurance, right? Another thing I see businesses do, I'm going to use you because you're the closest to it, right? So you have a business, I'm your key employee. I generate, let's say, 50% of the revenue for the business. If something happens to me, your business is in a bad situation. Right. You can take insurance out on me to cover your business if something happens. These are things businesses need to do. So on the business side, how to create a business, how to maintain a business, how to exit a business. We have Langston McFadden, who's 2014 Attorney of the Year. He's going to be a speaker on our panel. Passstone is sending somebody, the Urban League is sending somebody, SCORE is sending somebody. We have a CPA that's going to be on the panel that 10 years was with the IRS and auditing, right? So that's on the business side. And then we're going to have a personal breakout session. So in the personal breakout session, we're going to talk about personal finance. So that would be insurance and investments. And I passed something around to you guys. Now this isn't for me to take. This is just kind of for you to look at. So when we talk about insurance, One of the biggest things that I find is most people do not have enough insurance, by far. So especially in the urban community, we have our work insurance, and a lot of people don't realize when you leave the job, that insurance, thank you. I feel like I'm preaching up here. When you leave the job, that insurance stays there. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, personal experience, I had a client, 30 years at Xerox, he retired, he tried to get some insurance, he's uninsured. People need to understand that and try to make some things to take care of that. Talking about investments, you know, a lot of people, especially people in this community, are very conservative by nature, right? And when they look at investments, they invest conservatively, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I won't, you know, I know I got my time, I won't get into that, but I had a client that put all of his money in the money market. And he was very excited to tell me, Will, I've never lost money. But I had to try to explain to him, if you factor in inflation, you have lost money. Your money market earned 1%. Inflation is 3%. You gotta at least keep up with inflation. But through education, we can help people kind of understand those things. So in the vein of creating and maintaining intergenerational wealth, the other thing we're gonna talk about at the symposium, home ownership. Lots of businesses, lots of legacies are started with equity somewhere. So we're gonna talk about where the money is to get homes. I have a real estate attorney coming to talk about that process, a loan officer coming to talk about that process. The other thing that we want to talk about is while you're not a homeowner yet, what are your rights as a renter? So we're going to have an attorney speak about that process as well. And then we end with end of life issues. What's a will, what's a healthcare proxy, what's a power of attorney? You know, a lot of families get destroyed on, you know, grandma dies, doesn't have any insurance, there was no plan, who gets this, who gets what. You know, one of the things I always ask parents, if something happens to both of you, who gets your children? And more importantly, have you had that discussion with them? Most people say, oh, my brother's gonna take it. Did you talk to him? No, I didn't. Well, that's a problem, right? So part of what we're trying to do is just help the community get very educated on these financial topics so that hopefully, you know, going forward, people can make better decisions. The paper I passed along to you, and this is just something that I leave with people. Again, it's not for anybody to collect, it's just for you. It really spells out, put your income in, the percentage of the income that you want to protect, and then it's going to tell you how much life insurance you have. And I always think it's important for people to look at this, because look at how much insurance you have versus how much insurance this is telling you you need. I think that's about my time. June 11th, 9 o'clock, REOC, free event. Somebody's working on the website now. We're going to do a whole bunch of advertising clicks and such. You will have to register. I'm anticipating a lot of people coming to this, and the capacity is only so much. But we'll get all that information out, and I'm sure Lynette can kind of share it. Any questions as I walk off? Yes, sir.
Can you just maybe, I know a lot of people don't know about what's called living trust, so can you maybe add that to your presentation, what living trust is?
Yes.
And also, I don't know if you're going to be doing what they call whole life insurance. So a lot of people do term life insurance, that runs out, so helping that you really do this whole life insurance is great.
Whole life is okay, depending on what you're trying to do. Term is good, depending on what you're trying to do. A lot of times people get caught up in the type of insurance. The type of insurance doesn't matter as much as if it covers the need, right? So I've never had a client say, you know, you deliver a check. Well, what type of insurance was that? They just want to know, am I going to be able to stay in a house? Am I going to be able to maintain my lifestyle? So however we do that with whatever insurance we choose, works. But we definitely look at that. Any other?
You didn't know I was going to be sitting in the audience, but everybody, you need to get insurance. I'm a widow, and I have to tell you, I used my husband signed up for insurance. I used to write that check. I used to complain every month when I wrote that check. And when he died, I said, thank you. That's all I can say. I was a very young widow, and everybody needs to take care of their family. I have a girlfriend whose husband just died. I was with her 2 nights ago. She goes, there was no insurance, why didn't you take care of it? And she was crying. So, please see this man.
Well, and the reality is a lot of people think it's expensive, and again, I'm not gonna get into the different types of insurance, because, I mean, this isn't the place for that, but I bought a policy on my wife, it was $500,000, it was $300 a year. I mean, we don't go out to eat one time a month, I mean, that kind of pays for it. So, no, I said once a month, we only go once a month. We have spent that every now and then, I do have to watch that any other questions?
Yes, where is this going to happen on the 11th?
The REOC.
Educational Opportunity
Oh, okay,
Center.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
I just know REOC. I didn't know. Don't tell anybody. I didn't know what it stood for. We'll strike that from
We'll
the
put
record.
the address in the notes.
Yes. Any other questions?
I just want to say that the minutes from this are going to be posted on Southwest Location Night.
Okay.
And that would be a good place to go, and if you missed anything, or if you want to add stuff or something in the discussion, or just add it in, and that way you publicize.
Absolutely.
The Southwest Quadrant.
Absolutely. And if anyone else has come, there's a fan right here. I wish somebody would have told me. I sweat a little bit. Don't judge me. Any other questions? I appreciate you guys letting me speak today.
Thank you. So I just want to say, the information that Mr. Hall brought to us tonight was important. He just touched very basically across the board on a topic, and he kidnapped me. And in my office, and he told me, he explained a lot of things to me. And he asked me, you know, insurance is good. I'm not looking to die, and when I do, I don't have any children or a spouse to take care of, so I'm not looking to leave anybody a whole lot of money, enough to bury me. But I am looking for my retirement, and I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and can't move, and I can't work. And so now, you know, I work until I'm 80. I don't want to do that. So he brought me, and here's a sample, and I have a book, and mine's probably even more extensive than this, on what to do to save for my retirement. So I'm looking at a 9-year plan
Yes.
for $300,000 at the end of 9 years, and it's doable. It's actually doable. There are some things like dinner that I have to give out. No, I mean not give away, not my every night dinner, but there's some things that I have to change in my life to make this happen. But I would rather change those things now and retire comfortably than to have to suffer and try and live off of Social Security in the long run. So it's a lot of information that he's giving to you. It's a great class that he's going to teach, and we want to thank him for being here to tell us about it.
Thank you.